You're listening to The Jacob Valk Show. He's breaking down the latest and greatest in sports as only he can. Follow him on Twitter at RealJacobValk. Here he is, Jacob Valk.
Hello, sports fans! Welcome to another edition of the Jacob Valk Show. I am Jacob Valk, and holy moly, did a lot happen last night. The entire landscape of baseball changed during the State of the Union yesterday. And that has nothing to do with President Trump announcing anything to do with minor league baseball. No. Mookie Betts and David Price to the Dodgers. My goodness gracious. Did I or did I not call Betts to the Dodgers yesterday? Holy moly, I'm speaking things into existence here. I'll get into that later. Clint Capella and Robert Covington were traded. Talked about that yesterday also. Jock Peterson doesn't have to move too far to find his new home. And Steve Cohen is not the savior that everyone thought he was. But where else would I start but with the Betts trade? And make no mistake about it, this is one of the biggest trades in recent baseball history, if not baseball history as a whole. I already extolled his virtues yesterday. I'm not going to do it again. We all know how dominant Mookie Betts is. And to put him in a lineup with Cody Bellinger, Corey Seager, and A.J. Pollock, just to name a few, is scary. This is a great day for Dodgers fans. Make no mistake about it. They will win the pennant this year. They're making a legitimate push to finally win a World Series, and good for them. They haven't won one in over 30 years. I don't give a damn how good we think Verdugo is gonna be. He's a piece of paper. All prospects are pieces of paper. Luis Robert is a piece of paper. Wander Franco is a piece of paper. Joe Adell is a piece of paper. And the LA Dodgers turned that piece of paper into one of the best players in all of baseball. And a pretty good starter, too, in David Price. I understand that Price has his issues. I don't give a damn what he did in 2018. I still don't trust him in the playoffs. You've got to have more than one great year to exercise your playoff demons. And especially after Price had a really bad year last year where he got hurt and wasn't effective even when he was healthy. He's got to have a big bounce-back season this year. But regardless of if he turns back into the Price of 2018, even if he has another year like he did this past year, if you put him in a rotation with Ryu, Buehler, and Kershaw, that's an incredibly scary rotation. I commend the Dodgers for doing this. It's undoubtedly the right decision. Is losing Verdugo tough? Yeah. Everyone thinks he's going to be a really good player. And I think he's going to be a really good player too. I don't like that I'm going to have to see this kid for the next 5 years. But you know what? I'd rather see him than Betts. The National League was really wide open before this trade. Now, forget about it. The Dodgers have it wrapped up. And the Yankees have the American League wrapped up. We could be looking at a good old-fashioned Yankees-Dodgers World Series. And there's nothing better than that. It'd be the first one in my lifetime. I'd be really excited to see it. My uncle is actually a Dodgers fan. And he always gives me the business. It's like, they're not rivals anymore. They haven't played each other in a World Series since 1981. It's not a rivalry anymore. But now, yeah, we're going to be going at it all year. And in October, a Yankees-Dodgers World Series, Major League Baseball would love it, Fox would love it, and baseball fans would love it. You have the two best teams and the two biggest markets in America going at it. Nothing better than that. One thing that I was thinking about as a side effect of this trade, and I brought this up to my father last night. He really didn't think it was going to happen. He wasn't crazy about it. I don't think it's going to happen either, but it's worth talking about. Is, could the Yankees respond to this? Think about it. Just 24 hours ago, they were the World Series favorites. Now, best case scenario, it's a push. If you wanted to tell me the Dodgers were better than the Yankees, I couldn't disagree with you. If you wanted to tell me that the Yankees were better than the Dodgers, I couldn't disagree with you. As it stands right now, we're looking at a 7-game series with God knows who winning, and God knows who would get home field advantage. There is something that the Yankees can do to really push this back in their favor. And if the Yankees do this, that's it. They've got the World Series. I hate to say it, they have it really locked up. I understand that you can't guarantee yourself a World Series in February, but this basically does. Could they now make a big push for Nolan Arenado or Chris Bryant? And if so, who would you rather go after? I understand that Hal and Hank Steinbrenner have been cost conscious, but they did blow past it for Cole. And you have to commend them for that. Hal and Hank have gotten heat for not spending like their father, but you know what? When they needed to go out and get someone, they did. They got the best free agent starter on the market. And the best free agent starting pitcher that has hit the market in a long time in Cole. And they did that for one reason. They don't want to go another decade without a pennant. They want to make a World Series, and they want to win a World Series. They want to win multiple World Series. Realize something. Hal and Hank Steinbrenner have never won a World Series when their father has not been with us. He died in 2010. I remember where I was when he died. I was in Gettysburg. Since then, the Yankees have never won a pennant. I think Hal and Hank are sick of losing. At the end of the day, their father's legacy can only take them so far. They have to act like Steinbrenners, not just have the name. They did it with Cole. That was a George move. And it was a great move. It was a fantastic move. It was a move that I was literally jumping for joy afterwards. But you can always get just a little better. And trading for Arenado or Bryant, they'd get better. Third base is the only weak spot in that lineup. If you want to tell me Gio Urshela, fine. I like Urshela. I like him a lot. He's a great story. Came out of nowhere to have a great season. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's just one great year. There are countless players in baseball history to have one great year and then regress. Do you really want to take the chance that Urshela really figured something out? Or do you want to go all in on Chris Bryant? Even when, and by the way, I think it's going to be Bryant more than Arenado. I'll get into that later. But even if last year wasn't an aberration, Chris Bryant is better than Gio Urshela. Okay, that's just fact. If you think he's not, you're dreaming. Miguel Andujar's a fine player. Really, really good player. Is he great? We have to see how he does coming back from the injury. I like Andujar a lot, but he's been involved in trade rumors ever since he came up. Davy Garcia and Clark Schmidt, they're prospects. They're pieces of paper. Clint Frazier is never going to get an opportunity up here. It's done. It's over. Mike Tauchman, I think he showed last year that he's a real player. Can you count on him to win MVP? No, but he's a guy who showed that he can hit 280, 15 homers, 50 to 60 ribbies, and give you really good defense. Make no mistake about it. The Yankees have the necessary pieces to pull off an Arenado or Bryant trade. It's just a matter of, are the Steinbrenners willing to pay more of the luxury tax? Their father would. That's all I'm going to say about it. The reason why I'd rather have Bryant than Arenado is because the home road splits for Arenado just scare the ever-loving mercy out of me. Look, I can't take anything away from Arenado. He's a really good player. He's a great player, as a matter of fact. And if you wanted to say that he's the best third baseman in baseball, you'd probably be right. But you cannot deny how much Coors Field has been a factor in his success. In his career at home, he's hitting .324 with 129 homers and 446 RBIs. That's sensational when you look at what he's done on the road. And bear in mind, this is in one more game. 3 more games started. He's hit .265 with 98 homers and 288 ribbies. That's not bad, but that's not great. Now, Arenado has shown that he can hit in Yankee Stadium. I remember seeing him against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. I actually fell asleep for a little bit of that game. It's a true story. I was just really tired that day, and for the life of me, I just could not stay up. It's embarrassing to admit, but it's true. In Arenado's career, he's hit .412 at Yankee Stadium with 2 homers and 8 ribbies. Now, granted, that's only in 5 games. It's a very small sample size, but He's shown that he can hit in Yankee Stadium. If the Yankees can get Nolan Arenado, it's a fantastic move. But you've got to be skeptical about the Coors Field factor. It's just an issue. You can't deny it. And when you look at Chris Bryant, year in and year out, this kid hits. Last year, 282, 31 ribbies, 77 RBIs. 3 years ago, MVP. Before that, Rookie of the Year. We all know that he's been dealing with the service time manipulation issue, and it really didn't work out in his favor. He's under team control for 2 more years instead of 1. I actually have an interesting idea for that. The CHL does certain things with exceptional prospects. They grant them exceptional status. It happened with John Tavares, Connor McDavid, and I think a couple other players, where they can play at an advanced league even at a younger age. I kind of want Major League Baseball to do something like that. Grant a player exceptional prospect status, where if we all know that he's ready to play in the majors, and this would be decided by a panel of scouting experts, if we all know that he's ready to play in the majors, it doesn't matter if he stays in the minors or not. He'd get service time accrued. Just an interesting thought that I had. But back to Bryant to the Yankees. Don't tell me for a minute that it can't happen. He's under contract for 2 more years. He's going to get, what, let's say, I mean, this year he's due 18.6. Next year, I'm trying to think, 25? Year after, maybe 30? Yeah, it's a lot of money, but Bryant's worth it. He's cheaper than Arenado, actually. If the Yankees are really concerned about winning a championship, going all in for it, and payroll, Bryant makes a ton of sense. Now, can the Yankees go into the season with Urshela as their starting third baseman? Yes. I have no problem with that. But if the Yankees really, really want to go all in, trade for Bryant. Trade Urshela, trade Andujar, trade Frazier, trade Tachman, trade Garcia, trade Schmidt, any combination of them. I have no problem with that at all. Holy moly, did I go on a tangent there. Well, you know what? I really did this yesterday with the possibility of a bets for Verdugo trade. I mean, I really don't want to rehash the same things over and over again. I think it's worth mentioning what it means to my favorite team, the Yankees. There is one final element to this deal, and that is that the Twins traded Brusdar Graterol for Kenta Maeda. I know that Graterol is going to the Red Sox, but it doesn't matter who gets Graterol. The Twins still traded him for Kenta Maeda. Graterol has one of the best fastballs I've ever seen. It's Chapman-esque. And he also has a great slider. This kid is going to be a great reliever in this league for a long time. He's working on a changeup, though, and if he can get that changeup cooking, he's a starter. But as of right now, he's a reliever. And I have no problem keeping him in the bullpen in Boston. The Red Sox have had bullpen issues for a while. Graterol would help solve that immensely. And Maeda, we all know who he is. He's going to be a really good third starter for the Twins, and make no mistake about it, he's going to start for him. The Dodgers have been really herky-jerky with him, putting him in the bullpen, and then the rotation, back to the bullpen, back to the rotation. No. He's a starter, and he's going to help fortify what's now actually a pretty good Twins rotation. Do they have an ace? No. But they have 3 really good pitchers there in Maeda, Jose Berrios, and Jake Odorizzi. Michael Pineda's going to come back at some point. And they've got a couple back end of the rotation guys in Homer Bailey and Rich Hill. The Twins are making a push to retain their AL Central crown, because they saw the White Sox get better. Make no mistake about it, the White Sox are a threat to the Twins. I still think the Twins are going to win the AL Central, but the White Sox are going to be a wildcard team. All in all, fantastic trade for the Dodgers. This instantly makes them either the favorites to win a World Series or the second favorites to win a World Series, depending on how you feel about the Yankees. The Red Sox, yeah, they got a couple really good young guns, but it's no excuse to lose bets. And the Twins made out really well here, trading Gratterall for Maeda. There is another piece to this trade, though, and information about it is still coming out, and that is the Jock Peterson trade. There are still a lot of moving parts to this deal, but as it stands right now, all the information we have right now is that Jock Peterson, Ross Stripling, and Andy Pages, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, I apologize, are going to the Angels. And the Dodgers are going to get Luis Rengifo and another prospect. In fact, it could even involve more prospects going to the Dodgers. Obviously, I can only talk about the players that we know are going to be in the deal. And Jock Peterson, we all know what he is. He's Dave Kingman. He's a guy who's going to give you 25 to 35 homers. He'll hit 240, and he'll strike out a lot. He's a good player, and I commend the Angels for getting him. The Angels are making a push to finally make a legitimate playoff run with the best player in baseball. Every year, the best player in baseball is not in the playoffs. I mean, it's really a travesty. Now, by signing Rendon and trading for Peterson, they're making a run for that second wild card. And they could very easily get it. If I had to say it right now, my American League playoff picture is Yankees winning the East, Twins winning the Central, Astros winning the West, but it'll be closer than we think. I don't think the Astros are going to be great this year. And the White Sox and Angels as the 2 wildcard teams, with the Yankees winning the pennant. Rengifo didn't have a great rookie year, but he's still got some talent. The bat is there. You just gotta work on it a little bit. He has a really good arm, and I think his glove can improve. He's a project, make no mistake about it. He's not gonna unseat Gavin Lux or Kiki Hernandez as the starting second baseman. He could get a lot of time there depending on injuries, but it really wouldn't surprise me if he spent a lot of time either on the bench or in AAA. Pages, that's what I'm going to call him until I hear differently. Actually reminds me a lot of Yasiel Puig. He's a head case, but holy moly, does this kid have a bat. I understand that it's the rookie league, it's Ogden, but it's still impressive. He had a .651 slugging percentage. This kid's power is off the charts. If the Angels can screw his head on straight, they've got a future outfielder here to play alongside Mike Trout for a long time. And I gotta tell you, I like the idea of a Trout, Pages, and Adele outfield. And Stripling's another guy who's been shuttled between the rotation and the bullpen. For the Dodgers, he should start for the Angels, help fortify a shaky rotation. A young rotation, a rotation with talented young pitchers like Griffin Canning and Jaime Barria. As it stands right now, this is an easy win for the Angels. The Dodgers had to do it, though. They had to clear room for Betts, both in terms of the outfield and payroll. But there are still some moving parts to this. This trade is still being worked on. Maybe there's another crazy element to this that we're not going to see coming. It's an incomplete for now, but I'd be very, very surprised if the Angels didn't end up winning it when everything is done. Alright, if you haven't gotten your fill of crazy trades yet, you're going to after this. Obviously, I have to talk about the big 4-team trade, and I am not going to read all the names. I'm going to go team by team, and then you'll hear everyone in the deal. Robert Covington has been rumored to be going to the Rockets for a while. Yesterday, I'm telling you, I'm speaking things into existence here on this show. You gotta listen to me if you want the latest scoop on sports news. I'm telling you. They had wanted Covington for a while. Again, really underrated player. Good 3-and-D guy. His contract is very fair. Jordan Bell has talent. He just hasn't had a chance to show it. I remember when Bell was drafted by the Bulls and then traded to the Warriors. There were a lot of people around the league that were upset that the rich were getting richer. A lot of people had a very high opinion of Bell. He had a good rookie year for him. He kind of tailed off after that, but I still think he has talent, and I think he'll do all right for Houston. The issue is that they are now going crazy, crazy small ball. Like, small ball isn't even the right word for it. This is miniature ball. Any rotation that has P.J. Tucker at center isn't small ball anymore. It's mini ball. I'm telling you, we got to come up with a new phrase for it. Do you like mini ball? I do. I think it's good. Now, the one interesting element to this trade is there's more coming. The Rockets are rumored to be targeting another big to match up with guys like Anthony Davis and Nikola Jokic in the playoffs. I commend the Rockets for realizing that. If they were going into the playoffs with Tyson Chandler, Isaiah Hartenstein, Jordan Bell, and PJ Tucker as their centers, that's not that good. But they're looking to add another big. If they can't do it by tomorrow, then they'll probably add one in the buyout market. This is either going to be a really good trade for Houston, or it's going to fail spectacularly. This is a new experiment, going crazy small ball like this. I have no idea if it's going to work or not. If any coach can make this work, it's Mike D'Antoni. You have to love this for his 7-second system. I mean, the Rockets could put up 130 every night with this lineup. But defensively, they're going to struggle, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they play in the playoffs. For Atlanta, I absolutely love this. When Zion Williamson was learning where he was going to be drafted, I was rooting for the Hawks for the sole reason that Trae Young and Zion Williamson pick and rolls would be lethal. It would be Stockton and Malone-like. Now, he has that guy in Capella. Can you imagine those pick and rolls? Oh my goodness. Look, Capella can't shoot. I understand that, but he's freeing up Trae Young to drive to the basket. They'll get Kevin Huerter involved. They'll get John Collins involved. And they'll get Hunter and Reddish involved. I love what the Hawks are doing. I commend them for not playing for draft position and trying to get better now. They have a really good young core. They just need to let it mature and see if they can find the right fits for him. And I think Capella's going to fit in fantastically in Atlanta. For the Timberwolves, this trade makes a lot of sense. Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt have talent. You just gotta develop it. Beasley had a good year last year. He's regressed this year, but the Timberwolves will probably be able to get him out of it for no other reason than he's going to get a lot more opportunities playing next to Towns and Wiggins than he is playing next to Jokic and Murray. Jared Vanderbilt is another guy with talent. He hasn't gotten consistent minutes in his year and a half in the NBA, but he's still only 20 years old. I did like him coming out of Kentucky. And again, the Timberwolves have the luxury to develop him. Give him 15 minutes a night for the rest of the year and see if he can turn into something. If he can't, well then move on. They also got a first rounder in this deal from the Nets that the Hawks previously got in the Taurean Prince trade. That'll probably be a mid-teens pick. So, hey, you can't sneeze at it. A first rounder is a first rounder. It's all about drafting well with them. I gotta say, I don't like this trade for the Nuggets. Keita Bates-Diop is a scorer, but his game doesn't translate well to the modern NBA. Shabazz Napier is... Look, he's not as dominant as this guy, but he plays a very similar game to Derrick Rose. Now, he's not Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is a million times better than Shabazz Napier, but they play similar games. And Noah Vonleh is a good rebounder. I do like him. He reminds me a little bit of Trevor Booker, but you just get the sense that his ship has sailed in terms of being a key rotation piece for an NBA team. And the first rounder that they got is going to be a low pick with the Rockets. Again, you can't sneeze at first rounders, but still, you look at what they gave up here. Beasley, Hernan Gomez, and Vanderbilt. I do not like this trade for the Nuggets. The trade for the Rockets, you can't grade it yet. You have to see how they play in the playoffs with the big that they're going to bring in to spell PJ Tucker at the 5. I love the trade for the Hawks. I think that Young and Capella are going to work together fantastically. And the Timberwolves got a couple intriguing young pieces in Beasley and Vanderbilt. If you want to count Hernan Gomez there, you can, but I don't think there's anything there. He had talent, but he was just never able to piece it all together. The final story that I want to talk about today is Steve Cohen dropping his bid to buy the Mets. From the little bit that we've gotten, he didn't like that the Wilpons were adding new demands to the sale, and he walked away. What do they say about not counting your chickens before they hatch? How many Met fans were anointing this guy to be the savior of the team before he even owned them? First up, you had no idea how good of an owner he was going to be. He can have a lot of money, but it means nothing if he doesn't spend it. David Glass had a lot of money. He never spent it for the Royals. But now, there were so many people, save us Steve, save us Steve. He decided to save himself. I've heard some people say that Major League Baseball should get involved in this. And I don't think it's crazy. This is the second time that the Wilpons have done something like this. If you'll remember, in, I think, 2011, they had a deal to sell a sizable percentage of the team to David Einhorn, who was a hedge fund guy. And for whatever reason, that deal didn't go through. I don't remember exactly why it didn't. But I vaguely remember the Wilpons doing something similar to this, adding new demands to the deal. Hey, look, I feel your pain here, Mets fans. When Charles Wang owned the Islanders, there was a deal in place to sell the whole team to Andrew Barroway, the current owner of the Coyotes, but Wang pulled some fast and loose stuff, and Barroway dropped out. I understand that you're just looking for someone to care, and there is no question that the Wilpons are terrible owners. I mean, my goodness gracious, they act like a small market team, and they're in the biggest media market in the world. That's inexcusable. Major League Baseball should get involved here. They can't compel the Wilpons to sell the team. This isn't a Donald Sterling situation. But what they can do is talk to Cohen and talk to the Wilpons and get to the bottom of this. If Cohen was in the wrong, I don't think he was. But if he was, then Major League Baseball can't do anything. If the Wilpons were in the wrong, then, yeah, you've got to give them a stern talking to. Because this is the second time that they've looked to sell the team and they haven't been able to close the deal. That's a bad look for the Mets, for the Wilpons, and for Major League Baseball. In all seriousness, though, this does serve as a cautionary tale to sports fans to not get their hopes up when their team is sold. Look, I understand that when a new owner comes in, especially when he's replacing a bad owner, he's the Messiah. He can do no wrong. I get that. I saw that firsthand with Mikhail Prokhorov and John Ledecky and Scott Malkin. But you still need to see, A, how good of an owner they're going to be, and B, if they can actually close the deal on the sale. Now, there are a lot of Mets fans that look really, really foolish right now. Just don't count your chickens before they hatch when it comes to this stuff, man. That's the moral of this story. Tomorrow, I'll probably be breaking down the NBA trade deadline. Obviously, this 4-team deal is the biggest deal that we're going to see in terms of number of players traded and star power being moved. But I still think you'll see some trades around the edges to improve playoff teams. The show will probably come a little later tomorrow. Like, I'll try to get it up by 5. I just don't know how many trades there are going to be. And I'm definitely going to wait for the deadline to pass before I post the episode. Stay tuned to @RealJacobValk on Twitter for announcements on tomorrow's show, because it's a very, very fluid situation. Until tomorrow, I am Jacob Valk saying that 90 feet between bases is probably as close as man has ever come to perfection.